bushmaster certainly is the ultimate snake, in that it's so unique and so strange to most of the other snakes. And its rarity, of course, makes it the ultimate thing for herpetologists to go out and find. It is the largest of all vipers, perhaps the heaviest of all poison snakes, reaching a weight of excess of 40 pounds. It's the only New World viper that lays eggs. It has a spine in its tail, just completely unique to that genus, which it vibrates and sticks or leaves to produce a warning sound like a rattlesnake. The bushmaster left the safe burrow and then actually pursued me a distance of about 10 meters through the forest. This snake sometimes is a very dangerous customer. Basically, the job is to capture with the least amount of stress onto the snake to survive, transport, and will survive long enough to breed for you. You of course bear in mind that it's all still a matter of luck. Good job. Good job. Success. You may walk for 2 days and find one, or you may walk for 3 months and not see one. Back in the United States, Dean Reba has successfully bred the blackhead bushmaster and now has over 40 specimens in captivity. Experience with these snakes led him to believe that there may be more than one species. By studying his own snakes, he began to suspect that the South American and the Central American bushmasters were entirely different, based on variations in body structure. Harry Green and Kelly Zamudio at Berkeley were testing a similar idea. By studying bushmaster DNA, they came up with some startling results. What was once considered a single species, they actually found to be 3. This gives us a key to understanding how present-day snakes evolved.
What we have on the screen are the sequences of 3 snakes, and on the bottom we have the 2 Central American forms, and on the top we have the South American form. And I put these 3 up just to contrast, because if we move through the DNA here, move through the sequences, we can see that there's a very high similarity between the 2 Central American forms, but large differences between the 2 Central American forms and the South American form. The 2 Central American forms aren't identical, though. If you scroll through the DNA here, you can see that there are also some differences, not quite as many as the differences from the South American forms, but there are also some differences between the 2 Central American forms. Okay, so from these raw data, the sequences and the differences between the different subspecies, we can reconstruct an evolutionary tree that clearly indicates the relationship between the subspecies and the evolutionary history of the species as a whole.
The South American bushmasters were separated from those in Central America by the uplifting of the Andes over 12 million years ago. Then the mountain chain running down the middle of what is now Costa Rica separated the Central American bushmasters, resulting in the evolution of 3 separate species of snake. Geographic isolation forces all animals to evolve on their own separate paths. Scientists can start to follow those paths back into snakes' evolutionary past by studying DNA, the building blocks of life.
The origin of snakes is a little bit muddied. It certainly is something that happened over 100 million years ago. We feel pretty confident now that snakes arose from within a group of lizards.
Whatever those lizards were, at some critical point, they are thought to have become burrowing creatures, adopting a fundamental change in body plan.
If you look among these groups of lizards, the loss of limbs and elongation of the body is something that happened evolutionarily over and over again, probably dozens of times. And it's as if certain groups of lizards have experimented with losing their legs and becoming elongated, crawling creatures. Most of those experiments don't seem to go very far. We only have a few species remain today. One of them really took off, and that's snakes.
The remains of that successful experiment can be seen near the tail of this python skeleton. Tiny spurs that were once hind legs actually protrude through the skin of living pythons. But to get around, snakes have come to rely on a complex system of muscle fibers and tendons wrapped around as many as 300 ribs. Flexing particular muscles allows snakes to move in several ways. Large, bulky snakes move similarly to caterpillars, as a wave of muscle activity travels from head to tail. Called rectilinear locomotion, it involves gripping the ground with the edges of their belly scales and dragging themselves forward. While hunting for prey in a barn, the corn snake finds itself between the tire and metal rim of an old wheel. Unable to move from side to side, the snake is forced to move more like an accordion. But this concertina movement requires a lot of energy. Once free of the wheel, it resumes its usual motion. Snakes have adapted their limited methods of locomotion to work in a wide variety of habitats. snake with a host of tricky adaptive channels. A paddle-like tail and a keel that runs along its belly allow the sea snake to glide effortlessly through the water. A single lung that extends almost the full length of its body gives it buoyancy and allows it to dive up to 300 feet, and on one breath, remain underwater for up to 5 hours. To guarantee a rapid kill when hunting fish and eels, the sea snake packs a powerful venom that makes it more toxic than its closest family member, the cobra. Having adapted so well to the ocean, dry land is not an option for many sea snakes. Most sea snakes no longer have fully formed ventral scales that grip the ground and allow snakes to move and survive on land. The ventral scales are wide, flat belly scales. They're linked to the ribs by a series of muscles. Acting in concert with other belly scales, they perform like the treads on a tire, making their dragging movement possible. So effective are these scales that some snakes, like the corn snake, can climb vertically. Snake scales are actually part of the skin, and not just a covering. They protect the snake while allowing for considerable elasticity and flexibility. But their uses may be as varied as their remarkable patterns and colors. Change their skin. Live cells beneath the surface separate and add to the cells above. As the old cells break down, the snake's outer skin thickens and is ready to be discarded. A transparent scale known as the brill and covering the eye takes on a milky hue, the clearest sign of the transformation to come. With the help of a log or rock to rub against, the snake literally crawls out of its skin in a process known as sloughing. So the snake's pattern and coloration is left in the sloughed skin. The pigment cells that give snakes their often brilliant colors remain with the snake itself. Snake skin can do many things, including act as a brilliant disguise. But it can do little about one particular enemy, the cold. Snakes must rely on their external surroundings to warm up or cool down, unlike mammals and other creatures that can regulate their body temperatures. That's why snakes cannot survive north or south of 69 degrees latitude. The red-sided garter snakes of North America deal with winter temperatures of minus 40 degrees by hiding underground in the thousands. In the warmth of spring, they emerge en masse.
Geologist, this is a simple limestone sinkhole. But to a biologist, this is a gold mine.
Dr. Robert Mason has been studying these snakes for over 15 years and has solved many of the puzzles of their curious life cycle.
Well, here we are in a limestone pit, approximately the size of an average living room, and I'm surrounded by 15,000 red-sided garter snakes. These snakes afford an outstanding opportunity to study some very difficult questions because these numbers here are just unprecedented. You'll never see numbers of snakes like this anywhere else in the world. there are several things that are involved with the overwintering of these garter snakes. Most animals, when they come out in the spring, they have the luxury of time. These garter snakes don't have that luxury of time, and so they kind of cheat the system in a little way. And by that I mean that male garter snakes produce their sperm in the fall, and they store it over the winter, and then when they come out of hibernation in the spring, they're ready to go immediately, and they immediately can court and fertilize a female.